What's up guys, Cedoo Club here in another video. Today is May 17th, or is it May 17th? May 17th. We are looking at 3 months on for Spiritforged. I did the same video for Origins 3 months on, and I did also a 6 months update video that probably pop up on the information button there. And I don't plan to do a 9 month update for Spiritforged or Unleashed. I'll do 6 months for Spiritforged, but I will wait until a year has gone by, because of course there'll be 6 months for Spiritforged, 3 months Unleashed, and of course Vendetta will come by at some point as well. So as usual guys, I appreciate the support. Growing very quickly. I love the comments, I love the conversations we're having. Of course, if you're on the UK, check out the UK Riftbound Discord as usual. And let's just go right into it. So of course, for those that are new, chances are a lot of you guys are aware of Riftbound, are aware of Origins and Spiritforged. But for those that aren't aware, Spiritforged is the second set of Riftbound, of course the TCG based on the League of Legends game and IP/brand. And introduced in this set are a number of new champions. We have 12 new champions again, similar to Origins. We have Rek'Sai, Jax, Ornn, Lucian, Sivir, Renata, Rumble, Irelia, Fiora, Ezreal, Draven, and Azir. So if you guys notice, this time around there is much less distribution of characters. In Origins you had mid, jungle, AD, you had a whole variety of lanes. Here really it's very top and AD focused. We have one support and one mid laner, but really it's just, and then one so we have one jungle, one support, and then one mid laner. The rest are either top or AD. So very skewed towards top or AD, and I think that's fine. Ultimately it's not an issue, and we see of course in Unleashed the heavy focus on the jungle, for example. So ultimately they are kind of trying to provide variety and introduce the different lanes in their own way. So we have here the 12 newly introduced champions. I think this is a great addition to the Riftbound lineup. Of course, there are so many champions to introduce. Of course, we have, I say it all the time, we have Kassadin, we have Talon, we have Talia, we have Yunara, we have Xayah, Rakan. There are so many champions to introduce, and we are so early into the TCG. This is very much the second set. This would have come out 3 months after Origins. So, we are, 6 months into the launch of the TCG itself. So there are so many champions to release. I mean, it will take them years. I mean, I would imagine they plan to release, I guess, all eventually at some point. I mean, it'll probably take them 10 years at least to release all champions without kind of not, I mean, I guess that's incorrect. I didn't even try to calculate it in my head, but it'll take them a while to kind of release all champions. But I think here we have a good distribution of top laners, good introduction of top laners, and I will say this, of course, as we see here, this is the legends, and they're overnumbered. I would say from a design standpoint, I do think this two-tone is cool, I will say. But what I like the two-tone, I feel as though for some champions, it kind of blurs them into the background. For example, Draven, if I can get my face out the screen, Draven looks a bit flat. Sivir looks a bit flat. I think Lucian looks a bit flat. Irelia is gorgeous. I think Jax looks fantastic as well. Ez looks very dope as well, but I do think the two-tone has kind of blurred a lot with some of the champions. And then looking at the list of champions that received a signed version of their overnumbered, we have Ahri again. We have Ahri, we have Irelia, we have Vayne, we have Soraka, Teemo, Set, Philios, Yone, Bard, Darius, Yasuo, and Karma. So I think this list is truly gorgeous. I think the set of cards are very gorgeous. Of course, they have taken inspiration from the Spiritblossom skin line. I mean, just looking at the cards alone, I mean, Ahri is a very stunning card. I think this is a sort of TCG defining card in the sense in terms of how pretty it is in person. I think it's a very gorgeous card. The card quality is sublime. Coming from Pokemon, it's quite flat. I mean, I've got a Pokemon pack in front of me. I mean, it's quite flat. The cardboard feels quite not cheap, but it's quite plain. Whereas Riftbound, they have really gone out of their way to create really good quality cardboard, and it shines and shows when you do have it in your hand and you feel it. Ahri is absolutely gorgeous. Irelia, fantastic rendition of Irelia. It's the first introduction of Irelia to the TCG, and I think this this artwork is absolutely stunning. I mean, if this was in Origins, it would equally be as stunning. We have it, of course, in Spiritforged. Vayne equally is very gorgeous, but I think my issue here is that after Ahri and Irelia, the artwork begins to feel a bit flat. I don't quite know how to explain it, but when you look at Origin cards, you look at Yasuo, Leona, Kaisa, Misfortune, they feel very full, very almost 3D in their art and design, whereas here they do feel quite flat. You know, there is talk of how, you know, the Origins team supposedly they have a team A and team B for their designs. For Origins, they had Team A, which, you know, they would do the work on the big sets. Then you would have Team B, who would work on sort of the B sets, and supposedly, you know, Team A is what worked on Unleashed, and it does show. The cards are absolutely gorgeous in Unleashed. I'm really having a good time opening them. That does kind of make me worried about Vendetta, I'll be honest, because you know, we have Zed coming out in Vendetta, and Zed's a really significant champion in League of Legends, I think, for the brand in general. But I think rather than going a bit more of it, I think that's generally my statement. I feel like the overnumbers do feel a bit flat. They are absolutely gorgeous in general, and I will come back to this page to discuss them a bit more. But looking at the price point, so and of course I make it a thing to discuss price points, because ultimately I think we have to be adults in the room. If Pokemon the TCG came out in this, you know, in this day and age, yes, people would have a great time collecting, but we would also have this conversation, considering that the internet is here, eBay is here, TCG Play is here. We can have this obvious discussion of market prices across the globe, really. And what we see here for the Spiritforged booster box is we are seeing it sits currently at about $139 in the US. We have seen highs, of course, around the launch of around $215 and a low of $130 in the US. Of course, if you see below in the screenshot I took from eBay in the UK, we are seeing it sit at around £90, so actually below retail price. Now, I'm not too concerned about that. I will say that yes, Spiritforged isn't as well received as Origins. Make no mistake, Spiritforged is still a gorgeous set. Ahri is no doubt one of the top chases in the TCG, even with Unleashed Unleashed. She is still one of the top chasers. Of course, Unleashed is kind of a more broad, has a more broad variety of champions. There is no real specific chase, whereas here we have a clearly defining a chase, which is the Ahri Inquisitive. But we do see, I don't think it's necessarily an issue, because one, they have resolved quite quickly the supply issue that they had. Of course, with Origins, you know, the demand was so high, you can never really understand and really gauge how much you would need to print. There is always the issue of overprinting your first set and the TCG dying before it could even get its own legs. They printed what they thought was necessary. It wasn't enough, but they have worked to correct that. Spiritforged, there is less hype and less demand, so there is a lot available, and they have printed some more just recently. I think that's good. There is enough now for them to say, all right, we have fed enough Spiritforged into the market, let's leave it for a while, let's focus on Unleashed, let's focus on Vendetta, let's not print some more for a while. And in fact, the allocation we were going to give to Spiritforged, we will actually give to some more Origins reprints, because as much as people want Origins to go out of print as soon as possible, you do want people to still get access to the very first set of TCG, especially if you're only 6 months out. Because again, the demand was so high, and Origins is still sitting at around almost $200, about $180 now, and about £180 as well. There's a lot of demand for Origins still, and we do want people to still get access to these boxes. We should not be in a place where prices are out of the moon. You know, really at this point in time, I should really only be discussing the cards and their prices, but because there is so much demand, we are seeing, you know, the Origins box being above retail price, for example. So We do see the booster box case for Spiritforged. Again, I like to highlight the case because they do hold a premium, and they should hold a premium by virtue of it being its own collectible. We do see the price being around $857, and again, compared to, as we see, Origins, which had a high, which sits around, it was at 1.5, 1.6k, because there have been recent restocks again, but it did have a high of about 2.4k, if you guys remember my 6 months update. And then we see here the highest the Spiritforged box hit was about 1.2k, the low was about 800. And we see here, for example, there was a sale recently of 1.2k. In the UK, we are looking at about £780, which is close to $1,000. So there is fluctuation in the markets, but again, I think this is fine. I think this is very healthy. This is to say, you know, there is a premium on the sealed case, which is its own collectible. For example, Unleashed has just come out. There is no premium. You are getting it at retail and below retail, which is good. Again, we have resolved the supply issue, and so we are seeing that price show itself in being available at retail. So moving on to the top cards in the set. So we have Ahri the Inquisitive sitting at around $2,719. Now that is an insane price. This price is absolutely bewildering for a TCG that has been around for only 6 months, and for a set that has only been out for 3 months. This card price is staggering. I mean, we're looking at almost $3,000 for a card. I mean, it is a very, very gorgeous card. Sean did a very great job, and I do think, you know, yes, you know, Unleashed has come out. It's a great set. I think we are looking back at this card and saying this has found itself as an outlier, sort of sitting on its own. It's there with the cards from Origins. It sort of sits as its own behemoth. So I find that fascinating. We have seen about 3% increase from when it came out at launch, but it has very much sat around the 2.6, 2.7k since the beginning. We do see the irelia about 1.6k. It's a 1% decrease. It means nothing virtually. And at 1.6k, again, very much in demand. Demand has stayed, as you can see, has been consistent over the 3 months. And we do see the Vayne, which I think is a very gorgeous card, at 1k basically. And we do see a dip of 13%, sure, but you know, that to me doesn't say much. I think the demand is very much there. The appreciation of that card and what it is in terms of rendition of Vayne in a different light is very much appreciated and there. It's just that the supply is growing, and so of course you are seeing more on the market, but effectively the demand has stayed the same. I mean, a price drop from about 1.25k to 1.1k means very little. But I did want to have a conversation specifically on this Ahri card. You know, I can't state this enough. This card is very, very fascinating. It's a very gorgeous card. It's doing fantastic. I think this card is so well made, and this would definitely be one of those chase cards in Riftbound for a long time. I say that, but there will be so many other cards. There are so many champions that I love. I said it. There's Zyrokan, there's Yunara, there's Zed, there's Kassadin, there's Akali, there's Talia, there's Syndra, there's Silas, there are Morgana, for example. There's Riven, for example. There are so many champions that will come out that will be absolutely stunning, and make no mistake, those will be worth a bunch. And I say they'll be worth a bunch because ultimately, I always say this, I say the depth of attachment a player has to their champion, often reflects itself, or at least the broad depth of attachment people grow to a champion, that often translates itself to the price point you see. And we see here, you know, this hit a peak in March of 6.1k in PSA 10. This was the most expensive card in the PSA 10 so far. I mean, it has dropped now to 4.3k, but again, this is still very much in line with Kaisa from Origins PSA 10, RE Origins PSA 10. This is very much in line with the big hitters as well. I just think it's a stunning card. It's a pretty card. It's a very gorgeous card. I think other people think the same. I think this will do considerably well, and this will retain the price point of Spiritforged moving forward. And again, I know we don't like to always talk about price points, but I think we have to be adults in the room. You know, people wanting to vend and stock Riftbound have to consider this. The the marketing team, Riftbound themselves, have to consider the secondary market. Of course, the playability is really important, and it's both effectively one side of the same coin. But we have to be adults in the room and understand there is a price point in these things as well. And I always say the health of the secondary market is usually a very good indicator for the health of the TCG in general. So moving on to so of course earlier I discussed the top 3 signed cards, and as I did with Origins, I wanted to look at the top 3 non-signed cards, and no surprise, we have Ahri, Inquisitive non-signed, Irelia, and also the Legend Irelia, which to be honest is a very gorgeous card. And I know I made the point of the cards feeling quite flat. They've done a fantastic job for Irelia. Even her overnumbered by Graffiti Studio on the right is absolutely stunning. And again, this could have been an Origins just by virtue of how stunning it is as well. So we see Ahri for about $290. Again, we see a minor dip in the price point. But again, very gorgeous card and still very much in demand. We see Irelia at $163. It has seen a drop of about close to 40%. Still very much a great price point if you are an Irelia collector. And again, Irelia, the legend card, going for about $90. Again, very gorgeous card and great price point. So I've discussed this before. My gripe with Spiritforged, I have mentioned, of course, make no mistake, the Ahri card is a fantastic card. My gripe with the Spiritforged set is that there is a very skewed distribution of the price point. What I will do, if we look at this slide here, this is Origins. We see here Origins, Kaisa sits at around 2.5, Ahri a bit less, and of course this is actually a week or so old. But we have Kaisa over 2k, Ahri not far behind. Misfortune is, and these are all raw prices, just over 1k, and we see a nice gradual dip as we go down. And then once we hit Kaisa, that is non-signed, it then drops a bit, continues. We don't quite see that with the Spiritforged distribution. We see Ahri sitting at a crazy high. After that, we see a massive drop to Irelia, and then we see a continued drop. And if we look at the top 10 champions, so that is Ahri all the way to, I believe, let's say Darius. If you notice the price, if you know how steep that drop is compared to, say, Kaisa and Leona. So Kaisa all the way up to Leona signed, you can see it's a much more gradual, and what that reflects in the opening experience, because again, you want to enjoy opening the box. Whenever I can get Origins at a decent price, I enjoy to open it, because I know that wherever I get, I can hold on to it and trade it at a later point for another card I like. For example, I've got a bunch of cards right now. When Morgana comes out, if I can't buy it because I've got other things to pay for, I know at least the cards I have are worth enough for me to trade them for Morgana, for example. When it comes to Origins, you can pull as many, you pull this card, that card, and they'll hold some value. Whereas in Spiritforged currently, it's either Ahri or maybe Irelia, or you just go bust. And that is not a healthy distribution in terms of price, because Ahri is fantastic, Irelia is fantastic, Vayne is fantastic as well. Soraka, the really good cards in my opinion, but we are seeing this distribution, and it's not a healthy distribution. And that's just the observation we are seeing. Of course, this will probably change over time, slightly as the set ages and it goes out of print, so we will discuss this more and more. That's just an observation I kind of wanted to highlight that I do see. Again, I'm sure you guys noticed that steep that drop, and that does matter for the health and for the opening experience. I've opened a bunch of Spiritforged, it was fun. I pulled a Renata overnumbered, but it is very much I either get the best, or you don't really, you can't hold enough to be able to get your money back. Let's say you've pulled all the cards you want and you want to just sell everything else to kind of get your money back. You can't really do that. And then again, something I like to discuss, we have what I call the set value. I actually took inspiration for this from another content creator. So we see here the price point of the 2 boost boxes. We have Origins at around $181. We have Spiritforged at $139, and we see the total price point of all the top 20 champion cards combined. If we divide that by the booster box price, we get a set value. And effectively, the higher the set value, the better chance you have of effectively what you pull compared to the amount of money you spent being effectively worth your time. So, for example, if the top 20 cards were worth only 5k and the box is $500, you know, you're having a great pulling it. You know, you're gonna open the box, but you know, really, there's not much you can get out of it effectively. Whereas, for example, we know Origins, it's quite cheap right now. You can pull a bunch of cards that I've mentioned, and the distribution is very healthy. There are a bunch of champions you can pull and have a really good experience. Spiritforged is less, you know, to that degree, and so we do see the set value slightly less. You know, interestingly enough, when I did the 6 months on for Origins, the set value for Spiritforged was actually higher, but that was because Origins was so expensive because we hadn't had a restock in some time. So, or actually, the restocks had just hit, and so the price hadn't really dampened to what it is now. And then one thing I wanted to highlight, again, this is probably a bit hard to follow. Effectively, the top box is Spiritforged, the lower box is Origins, and this is the distribution of BGS black labels that are apparent on the market. Again, this is about a month old, but what I wanted to just discuss, if you notice, if we go to the fourth column, so we have card, population, a black label, and black label percentage. We see here for the top, we have a total of 333. 27 have come back at black label, and so we have about 8% in total. Whereas the bottom box, which is Origins, we have 579 that have been sent to BGS. 11 have come back as a black label, and so we have a 1.9%. So effectively, I say all that to say the quality of the cards for Spiritforged in terms of the print have been much better. Similar for, we see here Pristine 10 as well, and for Pristine 10 and Origins as well, the very last two columns. So again, I mean, say all that to say the quality of the cards has improved as well. And again, the quality of the cards was very fantastic anyway, but they are even better now. So some takeaways. So I really do think that this is a fantastic chase card. I do think this is a very defining chase card for Riftbound, the Ahri. I think it's very gorgeous. I think across any TCG, this is one of the most gorgeous cards I have seen. And I think this will be a chase card for a very long time. This is, of course, the very first skinline set. I think I love the idea. I do look forward to other skinline sets. We have, of course, supposedly the KDA set coming for Radiance. You know, there's the Dark Star / Dark Cosmic that could be done. There's Star Guardian. There's the Battle Academy. There are so many skinlines. Pool Party. And I love the idea that some of these sets will be skinline focused. I think that's fantastic. Again, we have increased complexity to TCG with the introduction of equipment and gear. Love that as well. A few points to discuss. There is, of course, less creative freedom when it comes to the overnumbered. Yes, it is a skinline set. I do feel as though, it's hard to explain this, I do feel as though there could have been more creative freedom in each card. I know you have to, you know, it has to, what's the word? Maybe envelop, not envelop. The theme is, of course, Spiritblossom, but I do feel as though each card could have a, I don't know how to explain it, a better rendition or a better, I can't quite explain it. I do feel as though there is a bit less creative freedom. There is more creative freedom that could have been given, even though they are in this supposed to share the same skin line. It's quite hard to discuss it. I have discussed it many times in my email-through videos. And again, I do say it has dampened the hype slightly. I wouldn't say entirely. Again, fantastic set. I do think that less creative freedom does kind of dampen the hype a bit. I mean, the amount of amazing cards we got from Origins, the amazing cards we have in Unleashed, where it's just absolutely gorgeous cards, completely different art directions. I think that adds to the scope and interest for the scope of the TCG. And you know, Spiritforged being a skinline set so soon has kind of dulled that hype a bit. So that's one thing to point out. And then just before we go, just a few things to highlight. What do I think in terms of a set? I would give this a B. I think it's a fantastic set. Of course, the Ahri card is TCG defining. This will be a very, very sought out after card for a very long time. But I do think it's a B set. I think the skin line's cool. There are other very cool skin lines you can do. Like I said, Dark Cosmic. You've got KDA, True Damage, that could be coming out in Radiance. For reprint risk, of course, this has just come out. It's very high. They have had a restock. They'll probably reprint some more. And what do I think for the boost price in some time in the future? I do think it'll probably stay around retail. So probably it is about £90 in the UK, so probably bump up to about back to retail. And in the US, it's about 140. It'll probably stay around there, maybe 150. But I don't think that's an issue at all. And again, just going back to the cards, I do think they are gorgeous cards. I mean, Teemo looks fantastic. Soraka is gorgeous. Ophelio, Karma, very, very good cards. There's just there's a bit of flatness to them, and I think I'm not the only one catching that, and I think that's why the interest isn't as there. But ultimately, I do think it is a gorgeous card, and I do expect that these over time will be worth a lot more, and we will see more interest in these moving forward. That'll do it. I think we'll leave it there. As usual, guys, appreciate your support as always. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. Are you interested in this set? Do you think it's as impactful or fascinating or interesting as Origins / Unleashed? Are you excited for Vendetta or Radiance? Let me know. As usual, leave us a like, comment, subscribe, and catch you soon. Thanks.